I'm lukerfuffle, and this was Castletown. Before we arrived, before our recruits were found, what is now a lively home for countless hearts was once a husk of its present self, whose sole inhabitant was Ralsei, a prince without a kingdom. But here in this hollow presupposition of home, we saw foreshadowing of this promised life. Shops stood up front, homes stood lit but empty. It always struck me as odd that these foundations were there already, seemingly waiting for us. For someone. In Chapter 4, we learn that dark worlds are shaped in the image of the person who creates them. I believe that Castletown operates similarly, that thanks to the unique properties provided to it by the Grand Fountain, it is able to hold a base shape, one which can be molded by an architect, in this case, us. That's why this rune refers to it as our town, the player's town, because we are the ones in charge of its destiny. Through our actions, we can make it either a safe haven or keep it a ghost town. But since this base Castletown was here before we arrived, I believe that we were not the first ones to shape it, that someone else was here before us, someone who has been absent for so long that what was once their kingdom has now reverted to its foundational elements. And the character that made me realize this was there waiting when we first arrived. A prince, by definition, is the son of a monarch, and yet, when we arrive, there are no monarchs to be found. I believe that these missing monarchs are the key to uncovering what once was. So the question is, who were they? We only have two sets of monarchical representations in Deltarune. Most prominent, of course, are King and Queen, rulers of their respective dark worlds, whose power does not transfer to Castletown. They do, however, parallel the other pair of monarchs, Toriel and Asgore. The leading royal family in Undertale, the Dreamer family we see in Deltarune, is very different from the one we once knew, though some things are still the same. Both versions of the couple are divorced, torn apart from a loving past by some as of yet unknown tragedy. The king, bitter and resentful, determined to make things right by any means necessary. The queen, trying to break free from regret, to create a new life out of the shards of the past. A similar dynamic we see with Card Kingdom's king and Cyberworld's queen. Initially, I did not perceive the Toriel and Asgore we see in Deltarune as monarchical, until Toriel appeared in the Chapter 3 Dark World. When Tenna opens her capsule and reveals her Dark World form, we learn it is that of a queen. In Chapter 4, tucked away in a hidden hallway, we see a panel of the prophecy which depicts Asgore in his kingly attire. This paints a very interesting picture. Why would Toriel and Asgore, two characters who supposedly have never been in a dark world, gain such specific and meaningful outfits and roles? And it was this thought that gave me pause. Because what made me think Toriel and Asgore have never been in a dark world before? I mean, it seems obvious, right? Why would they have been? Certainly we would have learned that very relevant knowledge at some point already, right? But then I remembered that it wasn't until Chapter 4 that we learned Hometown's religion is the prophecy. Toby Fox has a masterful way of omitting knowledge that is inherent to the story in a way that feels very natural, allowing for an absolutely shattering reveal later. He is a king of omission, and I believe that Toriel and Asgore have similarly had numerous crucial backstory details left unexplained, that they have massive reveals on the way. But more than that, I believe it's not exclusive to them. I believe that more of Hometown than we think already knows about dark worlds. Let's start with Toriel. For some reason, it is clearly of utmost importance to Tenna, and as such the knight instructing him, that Toriel remains asleep the entire time she's in the dark world. If you survive the fight with the Roaring Knight and interact with her, the text describes her face contorting as she has a nightmare, but if you lose to the knight, she's sleeping calmly. And then there's the fact that in the Shadow Mantle minigame, this eerie monster sprite which mirrors Chris's movements is changed from a black deer sprite to this one by a variable labeled Toriel. It is all but confirmed that she has far more knowledge about dark worlds than we thought she did. The same goes for Asgore, who, if you spy on him from the vents of the holiday house, describes his resolve to set things right before commenting on a mysterious black shard, imagery which could reference one of 3 pre-existing items with massive connotations: a shadow crystal, a piece of the Roaring Knight's blade, or this odd black lacquer-like piece from the December holiday secret room in TV World. Either way, it is heavily implied to be in reference to Dark Worlds. Carol we've already discussed at length on this channel. She is up to something in the bunker, something to do with Dark Worlds. The bunker doors, before closing, exhibit a familiar Dark World effect, but she's not the only Lightner who has access to the bunker. So does Undyne, the only adult Lightner we're able to directly bring up Dark Worlds to, and the only one we've seen in a Dark World other than Toriel. Her reactions when Chris brings up the Dark Worlds are suspicious, to say the least. In Chapter 1, she could just be playing along with what she thinks is make-believe on Chris's part, but she asks no clarifying questions and adopts the term Dark World very quickly. In Chapter 2, when told about the library Dark World, she attempts to make a joke out of it before laughing so hard that she breaks her desk and releases all the prisoners. While very in character, it doesn't feel quite right. The way her laughter trails off and the face she makes when asking Chris if they think she'd believe this leads me to believe that she in fact does, attempting to cover it by making light of it. This angle of former knowledge also colors her reaction at the end of Chapter 3 when entering TV World. Her reaction could be read as confusion upon entering a Dark World for the first time, but it is not explicitly that. I think it reads more as confusion at the scene taking place before her. All her dialogue surrounding Dark Worlds reads to me like a case of classic trickery, making sense both pre and post a yet-to-be reveal, vague enough to give her character plausible deniability, but when viewed through this context, suspicious enough to make sense if she has been in a Dark World before. But the thing I find most suspicious is her Dark World form, which is that of a knight, once again complementing the monarchical motif we see with Toriel and Asgore. It begins to paint a picture of what Castletown may once have been and the roles the residents of Hometown could have had in it. But what really solidified this theory for me, oddly enough, were the Undertale 10th anniversary live streams. While exploring the ruins in the place where usually there would be an overlook where Frisk finds the toy knife, the path instead extends off-screen. And as they continue down it, they uncover a new, never-before-seen area of the ruins of Old Home. Immediately, there is a noticeable difference. The colors are unlike any of the other ruin areas, closer to the color palette of Castletown. And the song playing contains motifs from Deltarune tracks, specifically The Holy, the song that plays when standing before a dark fountain, and Faint Courage, the Game Over song. As they make their way through the abandoned town, there's a fountain with a statue of Toriel at its center and a building off to the left. Entering inside, we see a massive bookshelf, an ornate mirror and fireplace right beside, bags of flour in the corner where Toriel presumably got her groceries, and the toy knife, now sitting in the center of this odd room. But even wilder than all of this is that they return to this room at the very end of the game to find Gerson standing before the bookcase, where he delivers one of the most lore-heavy monologues in either game. This area, from its color palette to its music, is in direct conversation with Deltarune in such an uncharacteristically overt way that I knew there was something trying to be communicated which I just couldn't figure out. That is, until I went back and watched Ralsei's version of the prophecy. Because this area of the ruins is depicted in his prophecy. Once upon a time, a legend was whispered among the shadows. This is the once upon a time, and I believe that this is what Castletown used to look like when it was inhabited by the residents of Hometown. This is just the beginning, and I have a lot more to say about this theory, and I would love to hear your thoughts while I continue working on the next part. I've got lots of ideas for other videos too, so please do stick around. And for those of you who do and already have, thank you. It genuinely means the world. We've still got quite a ways to go before Chapter 5, but these theories are just getting started. It should be a much shorter wait before the next one, so until then, and as always, thanks for watching.